Mr. Kanja. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. That taking into consideration, I beg to move that, taking into consideration the finding of the Joint Committee of the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security and the Senate Standing Committee on National Defense, Foreign Relations in report on the vetting of Mr. Douglas Kanja for approval as the Inspector General of the National Police Service, laid on the table of the House on the Tuesday 17th September 2024, and passed on to the provision of Article 247(2)(a) of the Constitution, Section 12(1) of the National Police Service Act Cap 84, and Section 8 of the Public Appointments Act Cap 7F. This House approved the appointment of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kiroche as the Inspector General of the National Police Service. Honorable Speaker, as earlier stated, pursuant to the article that I read of 247(2)(a) of the Constitution, Section 12(2) of the National Police and the Section 5 of the Public Appointment Approval Act 7F, His Excellency the President submitted the name of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kiroche, CBS, OGW, as the nominee for appointment to the said position of Inspector General of the National Police Service. Mr. Speaker, the Speaker of National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate via communication made on the 1st August 2024 and conveyed the message from His Excellency the President nominating Mr. Kanja as the nominee for appointment to the said position of the Inspector General of National Police Service. Consequently, the Speaker of both Houses, the National Assembly and the Senate, referred the matter to the National Assembly relevant committees of both Senate and National Assembly, and according to Section 6(9) of the Public Appointment, the Parliamentary Approval Act, the Clerk of the Assembly and the Clerk of the Senate invited interested members of the public to submit any representation by written statement on oath with supporting evidence on the stability of the nominee for the appointment to the position of the Inspector General. The invitation were made with advertisement that appeared in the Daily Nation on the Standard newspaper on 3rd August. A total of 30 memoranda were received regarding stability of the said nominee. Mr. Speaker, out of the 30 memorandum, only 2 met the requirement of the law. One of the memoranda by one Mr. Eliud Karanja Matindi, who contested the nomination, was not nominated for approval of appointment, basing lack of fair competition and merit. After consideration of the memorandum, the committee observed that under the Article 245 of the Constitution, Section 12(2), the National Police Service Act, Cap 84, the Inspector General of the Police is nominated by the President with the approval of Parliament, that not submitting into competitive process. So we found that it not actually meet the threshold. On the other memorandum that we received was one by Engineer Madenge, who of course who contested the stability of the nominee, citing some conflict of interest and an issue they had over land. And after the committee interrogated, the nominee had responded satisfactorily to the issue raised by Engineer Madenge to the satisfaction of the committee during the approval hearing. Mr. Speaker, this notification was followed up with a letter to the nominee inviting him to attend the approval hearing, which was done by the joint said committee. During the approval hearing, the nominee, we had, of course, as a procedure, a questionnaire which was filled by the nominee, and as a requirement of Chapter 6, the committee received responses from ODPP, Ethics and Corruption Commission, the KRA, the Higher Education Loan Board, the DCI, Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, and the Credit Reference Bureau, which all of them cleared the nominee. Mr. Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Article 118 of the Constitution, Section 6(3) of the Public Appointment, and Standing 45(3) of the National Assembly Standing Orders, and the Standing Order 77(2) of the Senate Standing Order, the Clerk of the National Assembly and the Senate, by way of advertisement in the print media, notify the general public of the intention of committee to attend the approval hearing. And for record, Honorable Speaker, we had actually a handful number of Kenyans who were in the vetting in the room during the process. The committee on 13th August 2024 undertook the approval hearing. That was on a Thursday. A pre-hearing, and on 15th August 2024, the joint committee of both houses conducted the approval hearing, and they were guided by the provision of the Constitution and the Public Appointment Act of the National Police Service. During the approval hearing, Mr. Speaker, the committee considered nominees' duly filled questionnaire, the curriculum vitae, the candidate academic credentials, provisional training and experience, and the personal integrity and the background to assess the stability of the candidate for the said position. The committee made several observations, Mr. Speaker. The nominee, until his nomination to the said position, was acting Inspector General of Police. He had served this republic in the service for 39 years, the record 39 years. And he started working as a constable since 1985 and rose through the ranks to the position of DIG before he was actually made the acting IG. From the police constable, the nominee had actually worked almost in every part of this country, to include the remotest part, and more importantly, the North Rift, and even the Northeastern, which are areas that are considered to be most insecure in this country. The nominee, Mr. Speaker, had on the issue of course, academic qualification, which is a requirement of law. The nominee holds a bachelor's degree in commerce, the finance option, from Inorore University, awarded in 2014, and this diploma in business management, acquired in 2009. Mr. Speaker, it's important to note that the issue of the degree, because it was an issue that actually some members brought about, the nominee's degree from University was validated and authenticated by the Commission for University Education, following a request by the nominee to the Commission. And the same letter from the Commission for University Education is actually in the report and signed by one Gilbert Opanga. Mr. Speaker, during his tenure in the police service, the nominee led critical security operation, notably the coordination, shift coordination and response during the Dusit terrorist attack in 2009. We all remember that sad day. The nominee was actually the person coordinating the operation, which was very successful. Besides, the nominee led several operations to include Operation Fagia Msitu in Boni Forest in Lamu County, which had actually tremendously reduced the terrorist activities in the region. The kind of the tranquility and the peace we have in that region, to a big extent, is attributed to the effort of the nominee before this House today. The nominee, Honorable Speaker, holds several awards in recognition of his outstanding and distinguished service to this nation in various capacities and responsibilities. And I think I'd earlier included a mention that he has actually worked virtually in every corner of this country. So he's a man that he knows every corner of this country like the palm of his hand. While serving as the acting Inspector General, the nominee demonstrated strong leadership abilities and managerial skills. And actually, when we were doing the supplementary, because he was acting then, we actually saw a man who is a team player, which is a critical leadership skill for a person of that position, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, during the approval hearing, the nominee was able, to the satisfaction of the committee, to exhibit knowledge in matters relating to the security, to law, management, leadership, and quality necessary to administer and manage command of the National Police Service as a disciplined service prescribed under Section 11 of the National Police Service. Mr. Speaker, I think I had mentioned that we really canvassed and looked critically into the background and the record of the officer, and it was very impressive to note that for having that 9 years, this is an officer that has never been implicated in any issues of corruption, in any issue of indiscipline, or any wrongdoing. Is an officer who his level of discipline is par excellence, and a very patriotic officer who is patriotic to this nation. Mr. Speaker, the nominee, as necessary from the interrogation and for experience spanning the almost 40 years, we were convinced that the nominee had the requisite experience and qualification to hold the office of Inspector General of National Police Service. Mr. Speaker, among the very critical issues that I want to really discuss, we all know the current issues that are going in this country and the very needed reform in the police service, which are actually well enumerated in the Maraga Task Force report. And I want also to mention that even as we speak, this morning, His Excellency the President had launched the strategic plan to see the implementation of the police reform that were actually as stipulated in the Maraga report. And the committee was able to interrogate the nominee to see the stability for the said position. And we were convinced, Honorable Speaker, that this man is the best fitted man to implement and oversee the police reform. Mr. Speaker, we took the nominee through several very critical issues affecting this country, to include the issue of insecurity in the North Rift and the eastern part of the country. And he was able really to convince the committee that the man is best fitted for the job. having already been actually the commandant of JSU. He has been actually trained in several training during his service, in this, his years in the service, and has been actually even in the training colleges. And more critically, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Speaker, we all know that one of the critical issues in the police service is the issue of the public trust and the corruption. The committee was convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that one Mr. Douglas Kanja will be able to handle the issue of corruption in the police service. We were so much impressed, and actually to the disbelief of many, that the worth of Mr. Kanja was 46 million, which was actually, it was hard for members to believe, knowing that how the corruption is rampant in a police service, and he has been serving in high ranks. That demonstrates the ability that this nominee will be able to handle the ghost of corruption in the police service and bring dignity to our service. Mr. Speaker, without taking much time, I want really to convince this House, or I want to prove to this House, that the man before you today is the man that Kenyans need, is the man that the Kenyan service need to bring about the change that we have been looking for too long, for many years, especially in the reform in the police service, to stamp out corruption, and of course to take this country forward in matters security. Mr. Speaker, based on the observation made, I want to recommend that this House approve the nomination of Mr. Douglas Kiroche, CBC, OGNW, for appointment as Inspector General of the Police Service. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move, and I now request my very able Vice Chair, Honorable Retired Colonel Dido Raso, to second this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Raso, but order for record purposes, you did pronounce yourself on Article 247. It is Article 245 2A of the Constitution. Proceed, Honorable Raso.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to second, and I want to say from the onset that I associate myself fully with the statement that has been made by my chairman, that Mr. Kanja has been found suitable by the Joint Committee of the Senate and that of the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, Mr. Kanja started as a police constable and rose through the ranks. He actually went through 13 stages to be the nominee and contestant for the position of the IG. He waited for his time. He waited on the line. For that reason, I think these are the sort of people who, when they appear before Parliament or anybody, bodies that are going to determine whether individuals are suitable, it indicates that they have qualified to be where they are, irrespective of tribe, irrespective of the regions they come from. They are on a professional line that we can all say that, yes, he waited for his time and he has done due diligence for the work that he has been given. Honorable Speaker, Mr. Kanja is not new to this House. He is the immediate former Deputy Inspector General of the National Police Service, where he was at vigilance. And he has been able to communicate to talk to members of parliament who, when you have issues concerning your constituents, he has been very diligent to attend to those without discrimination or without feigning that members of parliament are actually disturbing him. So among these many things are the reasons why we as a committee, we have said Mr. Kanja is suitable, and we ask the House to join us in approving his nomination. Honorable Speaker, there were memorandums which were presented about this particular nominee. And of those 23, it is actually mind-boggling to find for the first time a policeman at that level. Majority of the memorandum were positive. They were in his favor. And of note was, I think, a memorandum that talked about his action during the Dusit attack, that infamous terrorist attack that took so many lives, and his heroic actions, and that of the other policemen who were with him. It is what saved so many lives on that fateful day. Honorable Speaker, as the chairman has already said, many questions were raised with this particular nominee, particularly on the issues of corruption in the police force, which is a teething thing. And many of us sitting in this House, we will actually turn around and say the police is the most corrupt institutions. But one of the questions that this particular nominee was able to explain in very fine detail is that the issue of corruption is not just akin to the police force, but it is a societal problem that we must begin to tie it down from the early age, in primary school, in secondary school, so that the society is fully aware about the bane of corruption in our society. Honorable Speaker, on the invasion of Parliament, this particular nominee was able to say with frankness that indeed that was a breach and there was omission or commission on the part of the police service, and they should have done better on that particular instance. Honorable Speaker, this particular nominee, I think we as a committee, we have confidence that he will be able to bring the National Police Service, IPOA, the oversight body of the National Police Service, and also the National Police Service Commission. Over the years, these three institutions that look at policy, oversight, and the functioning of the police have not been working together. It has been a concern to the committee, and we have asked him, in case the House approves his nomination, he must be prepared to walk the talk to make sure that those three bodies work hand in glove. Finally, Honorable Speaker, it is the issue of the police. In the recent months, the police has been at the center of debate, both in the national media, among us as politicians and leaders. We must ask ourselves, does Kenya need a police force? What type of a police force do we need? Because the police will generally reflect the character of the nation. We cannot say we have good people and we have a bad police force. it doesn't really add up. The police is a constitutional body. They must act within the Constitution. But equally, the Kenyan citizenry must also begin to identify with the police that we citizens must act within the law. The police are there under the Constitution to safeguard lives and properties. Those are my property and your property. The life of all of us as we sleep in our homes. There are policemen who are on the beat in the night to make this country secure. And for that reason, we must look beyond small or petty issues that the police are this, the police are that. It is important to actually identify that today our police are doing a very good job in the Caribbean to restore normalcy to a country that had just gone to the dogs. And that is how professional this police force is. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I want to join my chairman to request the House to approve this nominee. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Order, honorable members. Let me first, before I propose the question, acknowledge the presence of Ndundune Second School in the public gallery this morning. Ndundune Second School is from Kibwezi constituency, Makueni County. Honorable members, I now propose the question. Order, honorable members. I now propose the question that, taking into account the consideration of the finding of the Joint Committee of the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs and the Senate Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations in its report on the vetting of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho for approval as the Inspector General of the National Police Service laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 17 September 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 245(2)(a) of the Constitution, Section 12(1) of the National Police Service Act, Cap. 84, and Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap. 7F. This House approves the appointment of Mr. Douglas Kanja Kirocho as the Inspector General of the National Police Service. The interest in this is overwhelming, and therefore I'll not put the question. The Honorable Tiende Amolo.
Could I get the mic? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the committee for the report. From the outset, I can confirm that I've read the report.